This video is about how I ran a 3-hour and 2-minute marathon. So just to jump right in, that's what we got. If you want to know how I did it, this is the video for you. So I started running probably 2 years ago. I wanted to go sub 3. It's kind of always been the goal. First marathon was at 3:37. Did another marathon, paced somebody. Then this was my third ever marathon, was Chicago. So, yep. As long as you know that going into it, kind of gives you some context on what I did, how I did it. So, I was running maybe 30 miles a week before I started into this training block. This training block was basically an email that Bandit sent for a training recommendation for the New York City Marathon back in 2023. So I kept the email. I thought it was a pretty good training block. I did a video about it if you're curious. It was 16 weeks. I turned it into 21 weeks. I just basically did the first 5 weeks and then I restarted the whole training again. I think it helped, gave me some confidence. I didn't know if I was going to be able to do the workouts. Started out trying to do them on hills because I thought I was Superman, and kind of got a little, I wouldn't say hurt, but definitely was a bit uncomfortable, to say the least. We live in South Carolina. It gets pretty hot in the summertime, so a lot of the runs that I was doing with people, like I used to go to a lot of the run clubs, but when it was getting so hot, I really didn't go anymore. Little MIA. Some people asked about me, but they could follow me on Strava. But it is, marathon training is a little lonely. There was nobody on my long runs. There's nobody on the track. There's nobody beside you. I did a lot of the training alone, and it's been good to go back out to some of the run clubs and run with other people and communicate and talk about what they're doing. So it's been fun. Getting to Chicago, I flew in on Thursday. Me and my wife, we flew in Thursday and we flew out Tuesday. So we stayed at the Hyatt Regency, Chicago, the one in the city, like in the Loop. It was $3,100 for the both of us, so $1,700, roughly $1,600 a person for the 5 days. I don't think you need to stay that long. With this just being like my first major, we wanted to kind of get a little earlier and not have a lot of stress. You never know. You fly into Chicago, could be delays, could be anything. So we just decided we'll fly in on Thursday. We'll go see the city. We've never been to Chicago before, and bought a city pass. Did the Willis Tower. Did an architectural cruise, and we went to the aquarium. So that was pretty neat. I made the decision to kind of carb load starting on Thursday in a way, but more seriously on Friday and Saturday. Thursday, just kind of, when I say carb loading, I wanted to get anywhere from 480 to 600 grams of carbs a day. Basically just pizza, bagels, graham crackers, orange juice. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I really didn't do a whole lot of random crazy stuff. Liquid IV had some carbs, I think, in it, and maybe a Gatorade electrolyte thing that they gave at the expo. Nothing too crazy. I haven't really tracked carbs going into that, so that was definitely a first. But I found a website that you put in kind of your weight, height, whatever, and if you wanted to do a 2-day or 3-day, and this is just basically what it recommended. And some other pros that I knew were doing a little bit more aggressive, but typically 400 to 500 grams of carbs a day is probably not a bad starting point. Just personally, we ate at a lot of pizza places. Tried Deep Dish one time. It was okay, but I really enjoyed the other pizzas that we had. It wasn't too crazy, oh my god, this is the best pizza I've ever had, but it wasn't terrible. It was good food. I don't think you really need to stay like too terribly long in the city, unless you're like really into like drinking and partying and bars and stuff. Other than like the city pass stuff, like there wasn't a whole lot of stuff that we felt like we wanted and needed to do. The city's very small if you kind of compare it to like how broad and big Manhattan is. Like Manhattan's like massive. New York City, just in general, like there's so much to do, so much more to see. Yeah, I don't know. I like New York better as a city. But anyway, I digress. But we did fly on Thursday because we wanted to go to the expo on Friday because my wife was running the 5K on Saturday. So we kind of wanted to get one by one, not be stressed. And so we went and picked up our bibs on Friday.
My bib and the hat.
Oh, you get, oh, I forgot about the little hat thing.
You get a little hat. Yeah, see?
Saturday morning, my wife Hayden ran the 5K. She's been training for it. She's been battling some injuries, but she's been coming back. We're up early, 7 o'clock. We're going to the 5K. Hayden's doing the 5K. That happened.
Stupid.
That looks better. I think it looks better with the.
Yeah, go.
And she ran not a PR, but it was pretty quick for her, I think. Faded! What?
I said you got wrong with taste me.
No, you got it. So Peyton just went by. She's looking good. It's a lot of people. I think it's more people than what she expected. So she's running a little slower than what she wanted to because the pack is big. But it's about a 10-minute walk to the start line, or I'm sorry, the finish line. I think it's at Willis Tower. So that's where we're headed. I'm trying to save my legs for tomorrow.
They just keep on coming.
When I got to 2.6, I knew I had to go a little faster because we were getting closer. So then it said, then my watch said 2.7, so I was like, okay, I gotta speed up a little bit. And then it said 2.86, and I said, okay, I gotta kick it into high gear. And then next thing I know, I look down, I'm sprinting, and it said I'm running a 6:07. I was like, I ain't never in my life. I ain't never in my life.
That's 607. So, was it fun?
Oh yeah, that was the most funnest 5K I ever ran.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you got some water,
Yeah,
some Pedialyte.
yep. And a donut and a fruit bar. Where's my damn banana? I wanted a banana.
Probably saving them for
They're
tomorrow.
saving up for tomorrow.
Yeah, probably saving them for
With
tomorrow.
50-something thousand people running in this race tomorrow.
Yeah, something like that.
God, it took me 20 minutes to start today.
I know. I was like, is there going to be another wave?
There's 2 more waves behind me.
Oh my
I
goodness.
think.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
I know, isn't it wild?
After we did that, we went to the Believe in the Run Club. It was a shakeout run, 3 miles. We did the run walk group just because, we didn't really care. We were with some friends and, we were all just trying to take it easy. The goal was not to get a lot of steps that day, but that ended up not happening because we ended up going to Willis Tower and or Sears Tower, and we ended up doing a architectural cruise that night and going to get pizza, which was about 2 miles away from the hotel. Yeah, altogether I think I ended up walking like 14,000 steps. But at the Believe in the Run shakeout, it was kind of neat because we're just taking off running and we ran to the aquarium and back basically. And we see Dom Scott. So I shout, hey Dom, Scott, Dom. And she kind of whips her head around, waves and stuff. I was like, oh my gosh, an Adidas athlete. That's so neat to see. I followed her on Instagram for at least a year, at least 2 years. And kind of been cool to follow her story. Then we round a corner and then Kiara D'Amato comes around the corner with her little crew. I mean, it was just so crazy. Like, it's like you would never see a professional baseball player just doing that. Like if you go to a Yankees game, early, you're not gonna see like a Yankees player like chilling in a bar. or like running outside or at a gym nearby. Like, it's so different with running. Like, you can just see the pros anywhere. Like, they'll be there. You run the same course as them. So neat. I don't know. If you're a runner, you get it. If you're not, then you don't. Yeah, I woke up Sunday morning, had a bagel and some graham crackers and some Cheerios and I think maybe a banana for some fructose and some liquid IV. So I fill up a 32-ounce Awala water bottle with plain water, put in a liquid IV, shake it up, pour the whatever can fit into my handheld. I run a 16-ounce, I think it's 16-ounce, Nathan's handheld, and it has electrolytes. Typically lasts me about 13 miles if I can drink conservatively. Luckily, Chicago was not really hot, so I was able to do that. And yeah, I wore Diadora Cara carbon shoes, some plain Adidas Own the Run running shorts, a Tracksmith shirt, and an Adidas running hat. I had my Shock headphones and my handheld, and that was the only thing I did. So my wife dropped me off at the starting corral, and we dipped out. We got to the starting corral, or she dropped me off at security, so we got to security around, my wave starts at 7:30. I got there maybe at 6:15, 6:10. Immediately used the restroom, walked from the restroom through the maze of people to get to my corral. I got in line again at like 6:40 because it was right there. I needed to put on some more anti-chafe and use the restroom one more time. And then the line just never moved. So the porta potty situation was the worst. And I ended up peeing on a wall and putting on my anti-chafe behind the porta potties, and they closed the corral, and my entire marathon plan just kind of fell apart. So I wanted to stay with the 3-hour pacer pretty much as long as possible. And if I could go under 3, then it was going to be an extreme success. I'd been telling people before the race, like, if I had run a 3:10, like, I'm going to be pretty happy, even though the goal was sub 3, and my watch was predicting me to run like a 2:55, 2:56 or whatever. So I just really wanted to get it over with and get some confidence that I can still run and PR and, do it very smart, like have a very smart race. Like I said, they ended up closing the corrals early because our corral was too packed. So the 3-hour, the 3:05, and the 3:10 pacers were all at the front, and I was at the back of the corral. So not ideal. And I never saw the 3-hour pacer. Never saw him. So I really didn't get to warm up before the race because I sat in the bathroom line, like the porta potty line, for 40 minutes. So all of my warm up was like a quick little B skip, A skip, whatever it's called. I did some calf raises, leg swings on a tree. But yeah, I did not run before. So at that point, I knew I wasn't going to be able to run with a 3-hour pacer. And I just decided to basically tell myself mentally the first 5K is your warm-up, and then it's just a 23-mile long run. And you can do that. You can do a 23-mile long run. It's no big deal. But yeah, for the first 5K, I came in at a 7:04 pace, which was a 21:57. So very conservative, but I did what I wanted. I didn't want to go out too fast and burn myself out and get hurt and waste all your training on the first 3 miles. But for the first mile, I didn't see the first mile marker. So I'm literally just running, and I'm like, my watch says I'm running an 18-minute mile per hour pace. So I didn't know where the first mile marker was. And I literally was like, when are we going to pass it? And then I got to mile 2. So once I got to mile 2, I kind of realized, okay, I obviously I've missed the first mile. So I don't know what I ran for the first mile, but I know my 2-mile pace was like 15 something, or I don't know, 14 and something, which was fine. Saw my family like around mile 2, and then I knew I wouldn't see them again probably till mile 13. And from mile 2 to mile 8 is straight up north, and I knew that there was going to be a headwind coming in, so it was about 9 to 13 mile an hour headwind coming from the north. And I basically just tried to like hug in behind somebody the entire time, and I didn't want to get crushed by the wind. Didn't really feel it, but I think it's because I did a really good job of like kind of following people, and I kept it really conservative. I didn't really want to go out too quick, and I just kept the first 8 miles kind of conservative in a way, and the paces show that. So 5K pace was 7:04, 8K pace was 6:58, the 10K time was a 43:38 or a 7:02 pace, and 15K was an hour and 4 minutes and 50 seconds. So kind of conservative. I wanted realistically to come through half around 1:30:30. Was not really my goal, but I've never really been good at negative splitting. But if I was going to negative split, I wanted to be smart about it. So like a 1:30:30 was like, okay, I can make up 30 seconds. I ended up coming in through half at 1:30:52. So kind of on pace, not really, but close enough. But I felt so good. A lot of the first couple miles, I would say miles 1 through 15 were just a blur. Like, I don't really remember what people looked like. I can't tell you like the people that I ran behind or ran beside, or like what shoes I saw the most. I don't remember like a lot of signs. I was just so locked in. Like I literally do not remember a lot of it. I would be running and I would look down at my watch, and then I'd be at, let's just say, mile 2.9, and then next time I would look down and my watch would be 3.8 or 3.85, and then the next time I'd look down it'd be 4.9. So I was just in a really good groove. I felt really good for the first 15-16 miles, and coming through half, a little bit off my goal. I knew I kind of needed to kick it a little bit. I saw my family again at like 13.75, somewhere in there, and still felt incredibly well. I put in a really good like 10K, like from mile 13 to 19. I think I ran the best miles. So, and then from miles like 20 to 25, or pretty much mile 20 to 26.2, I started looking down at the watch more. I loved the fact that they had water everywhere on the course. I mean, everywhere since mile 13, like I took 2 Gatorades and water every single time. And I love the fact that they had so many stations, but it was almost a hindrance because every time I ran through them, I got slower. A lot of that's not your fault. People cut in front of you to get water. You have to slow down to like grab the water. There's cups everywhere on the ground. It's really not your fault, and it's really not the fault of the marathon, but it is, you do get slower like running through them if you have to get water and whatnot, and which I did. But I held on to my handheld at mile 13. Literally at mile 15, some lady was handing out water bottles. I took it, dunked it into my handheld while I was running. 25K, I came in at 1:47:19 or a 6:47 pace, and then at 30K was 2 hours and 8 minutes 19 seconds or a 6:46 pace. So yeah, that was my best 10K from mile 13.1 to 30K was my best times. And at that point, I really thought I can negative split this and go out and get sub 3. And it was just, it was crazy. I think I ended up passing the 3:10 pacer at mile 16. So I remember passing 310 and thinking I was a lot closer to what I thought was 307, 308, but passing 310 fine. And then I ended up passing the 305 pacer at mile 20, 21-ish. So when I passed them, I knew that I at least had under a 305, which was totally acceptable for me. I was so excited for that, but I was just trying to keep focusing for the 3-hour pacer. But I just couldn't catch up. So 35K was a 2:29:47 or 6:55, and then 40K is kind of when it started hurting. My right hamstring would just kind of tense up, and I wouldn't say cramp, but it would kind of seize and get stiff for a couple of steps. And I tried to run on my toes, run on my heel, heel strike, toe strike, mid strike, pick up my leg more, just to see if I could continually push the pace. But every time I would try to really dig into it, my foot would my hamstring would just kind of get I don't know, it just seize up a little bit. So I guess it was just my body telling me I just probably shouldn't do that. Yeah, I came in through 40K, 1.2 miles to go. Saw my family again at mile 25, and threw my wife the water bottle. I think it ended up hitting her in the head. Every time I saw the sign, 800 meters to go. Okay, I'm gonna start cooking it, and my hamstring would seize up again. So it was annoying, but I get it. At that point, I came at 40K. It was a 3:52:30, and at 40K, you still have to run a mile and 1.2. So I had 7 minutes and 30 seconds to run 1.2, because the marathon is 42K, right? Yeah. No, my hamstring it just wasn't going to let me. Yeah, I came in, I came across the hill. I went up the hill. It's not as bad as people make it out to be. It's a hill, but it's not it's very short. And once you turn up the hill and you turn left, you see the finish line, and you just kind of run. Even then I thought I'm going to sprint, and I took maybe 12 steps and my hamstring tensed up again, and I just coasted in. So there was a guy who actually fell right beside me, maybe with 60 meters to go to the finish line. And I felt bad, and he kind of dropped to the right and went on his knees, and I hope he got up and didn't crawl the rest of the way, but yeah, I didn't pick him up. I just couldn't do it. I was so close to my time, and I don't know. It's a little selfish, but some things about the race, I didn't run the tangents very well, so I think my Strava put me at 26 point. Oh gosh, I want to say it was 26.5. So I didn't run the tangents well, but every time I tried to run the tangents, I got stepped on, almost tripped. So I just stayed to the left of the course, and I did that because I looked up the race and there were more left-hand turns than right-hand turns. So if I'm already going to be on the left side and we're going to turn left for the majority of the race, might as well just stay left. So that was just my thought process going into the race. And it worked out a little bit, but yeah, probably a better race. You could probably run a tangent better. I should have did better. It was just so crowded on the tangents. So overall, I was 3,702 in my age group, in my male gender, I was 3,399 place. And for my age group, I was 665. So one away from the devil's number, but I will take it. After the race, you go through the finish line, and they offer you the beer that they get you get for free. You can get apples and oranges, apples, bananas, water, and some other stuff. What else do you get? You obviously get like your medal and your space blanket. I didn't get the beer because I didn't feel like it, but you literally walk for so long. Like it's probably a half a mile, but it feels like another mile. My body's hurting, and all I want to do is just sit down. And there were people in wheelchairs, like, I guess, they couldn't do it anymore, and they just sat down in the wheelchair. There were tons of volunteers, though, so that was great. But, yeah, I took a long time to find, like, a bench to finally sit down on. And met up my wife in the village. After the race, we just walked to the bean to get some photos and kind of relax a little bit, because we didn't really know what to do the rest of the day. And while at the bean, we saw the guy who ran the marathon and then ran a marathon around the bean. So the guy ended up running like 50-something miles that day. And his first marathon for the Chicago Marathon was like 240 something. So that was crazy. We were looking at the guy like, what is he doing? The entire time he was running. But that was super, super neat to see in person. Monday, we really didn't do a whole lot. We went to the biggest Starbucks in the world. That was kind of neat. It's in Chicago. It's off of like the really ritzy road that everything is nice is on. It's like 5 stories, and we went to the aquarium. That was pretty neat to see. It's not like the Georgia Aquarium by any means, but it was cool to see. We had it included in the city pass that we bought, so yeah, super excited with that. We went to Tracksmith to get my poster. I think we did that on Sunday, so after the race. Yeah, Sunday after the race, we went to Tracksmith and got the poster printed. So that was cool. Talked to some people there. I'm actually framing the poster. I've got it in a frame now. I just haven't hung it up yet, but I'm trying to figure out exactly where I want to put it. Because I gotta think like ahead, like, okay, if I put one here, where can I put all the other ones? So I may also mount the medal, and I may frame the bib. Still thinking about it. So we flew back Tuesday. My mom was getting sick, and I kind of had a feeling I was catching what she had. It was like a sinus infection, cold type stuff. I didn't feel terrible Tuesday or Wednesday. Wednesday, one of our local running stores had a Brooks demo shoe, so you could demo the Hyperion 2 and the Glycerin Max. So tried on both of the shoes. I really enjoyed the Glycerin Max for the short time that I ran in it. Not far at all, but I definitely think it was better than the On Cloud Monster 2 Hypers that I have been running in for the money. Thursday, I got sick with whatever my mom had. Friday was sick, Saturday was sick, Sunday was sick, so I didn't run any the rest of the week. So the week after the marathon, I ran 3 miles. The next week, I think I went from 3 to 11, and then 11 to 20, and then 20 to 30. And now it is the current week where I'm trying to get 40. So that's the plan right now. Obviously the goal still stands. I want to run, I would love to run a 122 half or 123 half before my next marathon. The goal is still sub 3. It would be even cooler to run like a sub 252, only because if you run a sub 252, you could qualify for New York, Chicago, and Boston, at least for my age group. So if I could choose what marathon I would want to run in 2026. That would be super neat. I would love to run Boston in April of 2026 and then New York in November. So that's the plan. So now I'm running 40 miles a week, or hopefully I plan on staying around 40 miles a week for 40 to 50 miles a week for just kind of like a maintenance, doing a track workout once a week and like some kind of like long run. It can be easy or tempo or an actual like workout in the long run. Basically just kind of being in a marathon shape at all time, 40 to 50 miles for the next, however long it takes until I actually want to get into like an actual marathon build again. I know I'm running a half marathon in February where I would love to go under 123. I think it's possible. It's pretty fast. It's only November. It's 4 months away. I think that's very realistic to do. And we do have another marathon in the plans. We already have our hotels booked. We just have to pay for our flights. And that marathon is